I'm Steve Green for Trifecta on PJTV, and I have here the story of the day, of the week, month, year, maybe ever. According to a report cited in the UK's Daily Mail, women really are getting prettier. Beautiful women are having more children, and more of those children are girls, and that means that the planet is slowly being populated entirely by knockouts. Best news ever, maybe. Think of Goldie Hawn and Kate Hudson. Or Peggy Lipton and her daughter, Rashida Jones. Lisa Bonet and Zoe Kravitz. Phoebe Buell. Liv Tyler. Marceline Bertrand and, of course, Angelina Jolie. At last, here's a story entirely with no downside. Everybody should be happy, especially since, well, us guys aren't getting any prettier at all, so the competition amongst us remains the same. Here to prove me wrong is Washington Examiner columnist and Lehigh County executive candidate, Scott Ott. Scott, I don't know if it's evolution in action or God just finding a new way to show us his love, but what could possibly be wrong with people just getting prettier?
Well, first of all, as you know, I'm doing this segment under protest, period. I think that the first thing that's gone wrong with this country is that PJTV has now gone mainstream media. I feel like we're on Fox or something, showing cheesecake shots here. But anyway, you know, it just shows me that you, Steve Green, are the typical hating homophobe. I mean, you didn't say a thing about the concerns that our gay male friends might have, that guys are not getting more attractive. And frankly, they don't have the opportunity to reproduce the way, you know, well, I don't have to describe the way to you. But anyway, so, yeah, it's great if you happen to be a heterosexual male. But you're not thinking of everybody in this, are you?
Well, I suppose I'm not, and thanks for pointing that out. Boy. Also joining us is PJTV commentator and editor-in-chief of Eject, Bill Whittle. Bill, you're at the grocery store, and the checkout girl is a dead ringer for Raquel Welch circa 1966. Are you going to tell me that world isn't a better place than this one?
It was a rarer place than this one, and I'd like to, by the way, just make sure that everybody is aware that the picture of Angelina Jolie has changed to me. There was a little video switch there. You may not have been able to tell the difference. You know, you said, Steve, that there's no downside to this story, but there's a terrible downside to the story, and it's one of the things that Scott just touched on, and that is what happens to the men as the women get more and more beautiful. How do you start to compete for these gorgeous women? I'm not talking about the three of us, obviously. We're three Greek statues. I'm talking about the little people, the people who work in the booth, perhaps the people that do our makeup, or perhaps the people that bring us lunch. How are those people going to compete in this world of supermodel, fabulous femdom? I think it's a problem. It's certainly not our problem, but it's going to be a problem for somebody. And I'm deeply concerned.
Well, you know what? I say we let those folks worried about it, and we'll stick around a little longer. You know what? I'll tell you what. If there's even a chance this story is right, I will give up cigars and start seeing my doctor more often, because if women around the world really are going to get prettier, I want to live long enough to take advantage and simply enjoy the view, take it all in. So if the idea of me living to be 113 is repugnant to you guys, then I guess maybe we really have found a downside to this story.
So
Bill,
what are we going to do? Are we going to park you next to a railing someplace with some high traffic area with tubes coming in and out of you? You're going to grow to the size of Jabba the Hutt just so you can leer at these people? This is the future for you, Steve? My God. Let me just say this. It is absolutely true. You look at the people in my high school yearbook, and there were a couple girls who I thought were reasonably hot, but it's like none of them would make the top 15, 20% today. And if you look at pictures of like the people that colonized the West, oh my God, even if you go back to the 40s, you know, the thing that always amazed me about films from the 40s is they'd show guys in high school, and these guys in high school in these 40s movies, they look like my dad. I look younger than my dad, and I'm older than my dad was when he was my dad. You know what I'm saying? It's an interesting time to be alive, and you know, we can always count on Steve Green to bring us these cutting-edge stories that advance the state of information and knowledge here in this great republic.
That's what PJTV is for, is to cover the news that the mainstream media just finds too hot to touch.
Too
Scott,
hot.
I'll give you a 30-second rant to finish up your part of the segment here.
You know, I feel during Bill's rant, I feel like I just slipped into Field of Dreams or something, you know, and where my dad was coming back as a younger guy than me. Let me just say this, that if there's anything to this, I'll grant you microevolution in this, of course, macroevolution, and we'd be talking about some of the hottest women in the world now being some other species, which I think would be interesting. But if there is microevolution going on here, I just want to say this. I have already married an evolutionary leap that puts a lie to the whole Darwinian theory.
Okay, Bill.
And there she is.
You get
Mrs.
30
Ott there.
seconds
Good to see you,
wrap
ma'am.
it up, starting now.
Steve, there is no argument that can be made for or against your case that's any stronger than the person that's just replaced Scott Ott in that box. I mean, my God, would you just look at the features on that woman? Her mom was beautiful. Who knew John Voight had that kind of genetic firepower packed away in those little chromosomes of him? I love John Voight. I think he's a great guy. And, you know, you're right. There really isn't much of a downside to this story. It's the kind of gift that just keeps on giving. And as a person who's speaking to you now from a high school yearbook photo, I can just tell you they're improving quite a lot, too.
Indeed. Thanks for joining us. For Scott Ott from ScrappleFace.com and Bill Whittle from Eject, I'm Steve Green. Stay tuned in to PJTV for more Trifecta throughout the week.